There's a lot of hate about the Traxxas Mini XRT, but to be quite honest, this is an excellent little RC car. We're going to be doing the full review of this in 6 different categories as usual, going through everything, basically every aspect of this truck, and giving a rating from 1 to 5 stars as compared to the competition. So those are going to be things like the HPI Racing Savage XS, the Relardo Omni Terminator, probably the original Traxxas Mini Max, which with it shares a lot of components. So yeah, we're gonna give a rating from 1 to 5 stars. 3 stars means average, 5 stars means best in class, and what star would be worst in class. So let's get into the review. First off, the Mini XRT comes with, pretty much a standard Traxxas TQI radio. This is an upgrade from the Mini Max, which came with the lower end TQ radio. Pretty decent little radio, especially if you get the Traxxas Link module here. It's a little Bluetooth module, so you can hook it up to your phone and make adjustments that way. With that module, it's actually pretty decent. Not my favorite radio. There are some things with the endpoints I don't like, but overall, a decent little radio. Even comes with a little battery, so you get a 2S 3500 milliamp hour LiPo. This is actually 3S capable, but on 2S, it's actually pretty quick, over 40 miles per hour. So I think this is totally fine to get started with. It does come with the basic USB-C charger as well. Pulling off the body, there are a lot of upgrades from the Mini Max, starting with the servo, which is the 2075X Metal Gear servo. It's faster, more torque. It's got metal gears instead of plastic gears, so pretty big upgrade from the stock 2056, which comes on the Mini Max. And then the big one is going to be the motor and ESC, so you can see the Millennium VXL 3S, 3S capable ESC and motor, 4,500 milliamp hour motor, 4-pole as well, so plenty of power, plenty of speed. That's going to be the biggest upgrade you'll notice from the Mini Max, with an attendant, obviously, increase in price of $100, but the electronics on this are way better than the Mini Max. The radio, the servo, the ESC motor are pretty good. Overall, even compared to the competition, the Savage XS, the Relardo Omni Terminator, this is the fastest compared to those. Probably has the best electronics. I'm going to give it above rating 4 stars. Just a nice Metal Gear servo, ESC, everything works pretty good. The only thing I don't like is there's no adjustment on the ESC. The Savage XS, the Relardo Omni Terminator do have a few little adjustments to get to tune how you like. This is pretty much your standard ESC, which has no adjustments whatsoever. But the radio has actually got a lot of adjustments, and it comes with the battery, which is pretty nice. So overall, yeah, definitely above average rating in the electronics. Moving on to design, so I'm a big fan of this chassis. It is a plastic tub chassis, slightly raised up from flat, so a little bit of a monster truck look, but it is pretty flat, drives and works pretty well. Very easy to work on. It does have the removable quick release body clips here, so you just kind of snap it in for little clips to pull it off, and that gets it off nice and easily. No body clips or anything that you got to worry about. It does have a nice battery strap. It's got the receiver box up here up top, a little bit weird. It kind of mounts upside down, so it's not fully waterproof, but decently located. The servo is easy to get to. The diffs come apart pretty easily. I think it's like 8 screws or so to pull off the front end or the rear end. Motor mesh system has fixed position, so you can easily set your mesh and not have to worry about it changing. It does use a standard Ultra Shocks from their 110 scale stuff, so all 110 scale electronics. A lot of these parts are compatible with even the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive 10 scale parts, like the shocks, everything work pretty similarly. 12mm hexes. Yeah, overall just a very good design. Nice little wing, wheelie bar. No real issues. I actually think this is the best in class design. I'm going to get 5 stars. Savage XS is a little bit harder to work on. Even the Relardo Omni Terminator, I think a little bit harder to work on. This is very durable, very compact. No issues with any strange sizes or hard to get parts or anything like that. The one advantage of the Savage, it does take a standard 2S LiPo. This takes a mini LiPo, but I think that's totally fine for a 1/12 scale truggy or monster truck. So yeah, very nice design overall. I think they did an excellent job. Sort of the one complaint people had is that there is this cutout here in the windshield to allow more cooling on the motor and ESC. I mean, yeah, it looks like a little bit of a hack job, but honestly, it doesn't bother me a whole lot. A lot of nitro cars have that. I don't think it compromised the integrity of the body, and the body overall is very nice with the roof skids. It's all integrated, tied together, clipless. So yeah, just a very nice design overall. I'm going to get 5 stars. I think this is best in class. I don't really prefer any other vehicle out there. This is the one I like the most. The Mini XRT is ridiculously fast. It goes over 60 miles per hour on 3S and over 40 miles per hour on the stock 2S LiPo. That is best in class. The Reliable Omni Terminator is closer to the low 40s. The Savage XS is closer to about the high 40s or 50 miles per hour. So this is the fastest by far. I think it handles pretty good. Not a big fan of the stock tires, which are these, the Gravix tires. I actually swapped mine out to Mini Max tires, as you can see, because I drive it on dirt. These work fine on pavement, but on dirt, you know, something a little chunkier with a little bit more tread pattern will perform a little better. That's probably the only area I didn't, you know, particularly like. Overall, the suspension stuff does need a little bit of tuning, but with some shock oils, some diff oils and stuff like that, you can get this to handle really well. And the center differential that they got included now on the XRT is a huge improvement to get it to drive and handle a lot better. This is ridiculously fast. Handling is close to the best. I do like the way the Savage and Omni Terminator drive a little bit more with tuning, but this is really, really close. Overall, I think this is really good performance. I'm going to give it 4 stars in that category. It is the fastest, maybe not the best handling, but it drives really well and I have no complaints. This truck is super durable, as with most minis. Honestly, most minis are quite light and don't break very easily. The Omni Terminator is quite durable. The Savage XS is quite durable. Even the Mini Max is quite durable. But the one area I did have some breakages is actually the shock shaft. So as you can see, I traded them out for the titanium nitride coated shock shafts. These shocks use a better grade of steel. They are more durable. This has just been a long running problem with these Ultra shocks that they use, you know, pretty much on all their 10 scale stuff, at least the budget ended stuff. So yeah, that's probably the only area I would say is a weakness. I did see that Do RC broke the input gear. I had no issues with that, so I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, this has been crazy durable, and I've sent this, you know, as high as anybody I think out there. So I think this is pretty durable, and it's been put through its paces. Durability wise, we get 4 stars. Really just that weakness of the shock shaft. Maybe you could break some other things eventually, but overall I've had no issues with anything. I don't think the body's, you know, had any issues with this cutout. I think everything's been very durable, even smashing it in the front end, doing cartwheels, all that kind of stuff, launching at 30-40 feet, no issue. So yeah, this has been very durable except for the shock shafts. I'm gonna get 4 stars in the durability category. Now, Traxxas is the best supported company out there. A lot of parts are going to be compatible with other Traxxas 110 scale stuff because it does use a lot of 10 scale parts. Shock shafts I broke, was able to go down to my local hobby shop, pick up a new set for 10 bucks, bring it out home, and then have it fixed within an hour. So that's one of the really big advantages of Traxxas, is that their parts are carried pretty much throughout every hobby shop within the US at least. Other countries might be different, but certainly here in the US, it is easy to get parts. Everyone carries them, and parts tend to be quite cheap as well. Working on this thing is a breeze. I do find it, you know, one of the easiest mini scale stuff to work on. There are no weird hex sizes. It's all pretty much 2 millimeters throughout. They try to use standard screw lengths all throughout, so you can't even, you know, get them mixed up in sizes and stuff. So yeah, everything's easily accessible. It is nice to work on. Even the servo is super easy to swap out. Not always the case with some of the other vehicles like the Savage. So yeah, overall support mains again is one of the strongest parts of this RC car. I'm gonna get 5 stars. That's really one of the best things about Traxxas. Easy to get parts. These cars tend to be reasonably decent to work on. The Max, X Max, not so much, but the Mini Max and the Mini XRT are one of their easier trucks to work on. I'm gonna get 5 stars in the support and maintenance category. As you can see so far, the Mini XRT has performed really, really well in basically every category, giving above or best rating. But the one area that I would say is the weakness is the price. It sells for $369.95 here in the US. That is quite high. That's considerably more than everything in its class. It's $100 more than the Mini Max, but obviously it has a lot of upgrades, so I don't think it, you know, compares poorly compared to that. The Mini Max is, again, also expensive. This is even more so, but for that extra $100, you get all the better electronics, the center differential, so it's pretty nice overall. But compared to the Reliable Omni Terminator, which is closer to like $215, $220, somewhere around there, this is, you know, like 30, 40, 50% more than that, compared to the Savage XS, which is $275 or $300, depending on which version you get. You know, you're talking about $90, $100 more than that, and I'm not sure you really see that value in the vehicle. The Savage has really good parts, a lot of metal drivetrain parts. This is basically all composite. It does have a better radio in my opinion. It does take a full-size battery, has better motor and ESC. So I would say the Savage is a much better value, even notwithstanding the the dollar amount alone. I think you get more in that box. But this is a very nice performing vehicle, but it's also extremely expensive, probably more than it quote should be. It's hard to say what a RC car should cost, but this is the most expensive by far, and all we can say is that it is a lot more than its competition. I'm going to give it 1 star in the value category. This is unfortunately expensive compared to everything else that you can buy in its class. It's only $100 more than the Mini Max, which I would say it's definitely worth getting this over the Mini Max if you want to spend that type of money. But there's no doubt this is one of the most expensive RC cars you can buy for a 12 scale. So final thoughts on the Mini XRT is that it's a crazy good RC car. Some people think I'm a Traxxas hater for some reason. I'm not sure why, because I just kind of tell you what I personally think about an RC car. I don't even tell you whether it's worth buying or not. I just kind of rate it and give you an understanding of how I see this as compared to what else you can buy in its class. $370 is obviously a lot of money and pretty much the same price as most 10th scale 3S cars, but this is a 12 scale car, obviously much smaller. But yeah, they equipped it quite well. They did a really good job upgrading the Mini Max to something that is a lot better. It's wider, handles better, obviously much faster, and then the performance is incredibly better than the Mini Max, which I would say is just kind of a mediocre, more of a beginner car. This is actually more of an advanced level expert vehicle, especially if you're running on 3S, because it is insanely fast. And for most people, I think running on the stock 2S pack is totally fine, but if you want to go crazy fast, obviously you can run it on 3S. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mini XRT. Just performance-wise, what you're getting in the box, overall, it's a great vehicle. One of the most fun mini-scale vehicles to drive for sure. The power is insane. Durability is really high. Everything about this truck is great except for the price. And so if you're willing to pay that price, then you get a lot in the box because this is a great vehicle. But again, it's all up to you whether you want to spend that type of money. So anyways, there's a quick review of the Traxxas Mini XRT. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely subscribe if you can. That helps support the channel. You don't have to send money or whatever I do, just like seeing people subscribe if you like this type of content. So hope you enjoyed the video. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.